are being live streamed. Got it. Let's do it though, officially.
How about sports?
Matt, it seems to me like there's a freight train.
Welcome back.
There's a freight train on the tracks. And I don't think there's much you can stop when there's a freight train. And it's not loaded with pomp and circumstance and Christmas presents for all, Matt. Where do we start? Where do we start here?
Why don't you tell us about, the camping?
Well, Matt, apparently, speaking of mushrooms, you can actually feed trout in a stream by slapping the fleas and black flies, which are
prevalent,
many in number in the Olympic National Forest on the Washington Peninsula. And these little the river pools, even there, Matt, it's rife with tribalism and people being fish, scoping out an area and then defending it. This is my area, and the bigger the trout, it's all size with trout. Like, this is my area. A little trout comes in there, he gets chased right away. Mm-hmm. I noticed it because it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for power structures, and I think that's how we have to look at it. Enough with the racism. It's all tribalism, and it's all power structures defending. And we saw the Donald right at the Live tournament. Was that where he was throwing hats out?
Well, I think it was at his course. It was at Bedminster, I think, up
in New Jersey. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, man, we got some breaking news here. It's this. Scientists say that cockroach milk is 3 times more nutritious than cow's milk. And it made me thinking.
Good thing it's traded.
How many cockroaches does it take to equal the production of these boobs, these man boobs? I don't know. When I see something like that, my mind just goes places. And here's an agricultural innovator. Maybe man boob milk is what saves the planet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because men can breastfeed now too.
And those are breastfeedable, apparently. Matt, the other thread I saw, speaking of Bill Gates, giant short in Tesla. We don't know if he got out or still had it, but then I saw John Najarian basically busting balls. And he said, I hope he's still short because we want to keep the squeeze going. And amazingly, in the same thing, you started talking about this great opportunity on weekly calls in Tesla that you participated in. Bring up the Tesla chart, because that's how we do it here in Market Vitals. Cockroach milk comes to be the impetus for a Tesla trade. And that's how the trade worked.
I mean, we've had a 50% move here, Bob, since mid-June with, so Tesla, you and I were just talking about this rally in the NASDAQ, which is now 2,000 points, 11,000 to 13,000, almost 13.1 today. So, or rather we did hit 13.1, didn't we? So, led by names like Tesla, Apple, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Netflix. They're all up from this earnings season. So, everybody, too many people were bearish coming into this cycle. Next cycle, they'll all be bullish. This is how the game goes. So, everything is good now. Oil's down to 93. So you should buy more Tesla, I guess, because oil's cheap. So that makes sense.
I would think that the higher oil would mean
right.
Nothing lower oil would be.
But again, look at this parabolicness of this move, and all again, when everybody piles into the same names at the same time, I mean, do you really have you're just playing momentum. So momentum has been back in this market for this earnings season, and it's remained, but are you really doing much here? Nothing's happened. I mean, we didn't even take out this 953 that we saw in May. If we did, I guess you could go up to another, 1,050, but this is, again, this is a 89-minute chart. I guess it's bullish, but I'm not chasing it. Like you said, it's after going up 50% and, the earnings were meh. So now it's back down to 900, got as high as 935 today. Yeah, you got it. I mean, again, people, Monday morning, August 1st. So double banger, right? You got Monday animal spirits along with new month animal spirits. That always gives you a bump the way we were going, and we've been going up. So why wouldn't we go up more? But there's no news. There's nothing out there. And we're down $30 from the high of the day already, or 33. So that's significant. That's 4%. And those, you could sell 980 calls this morning up to like $13. $13. So you're selling 993 strikes when it's trading 935. I don't know about
and
you.
That was and to be clear, that was for this Friday's expiration.
That's for this Friday's expiration.
Dude, the weekly options.
And I think and already, so they went up to 12 and change. Now they're down to 4. So I don't know about you, but that's an easy trade. In 2 hours, in 3 hours, this thing has already collapsed, 75%, and these will go to zero by the end of the week because there's no news.
Guaranteed, probably.
Guaranteed, probably, because there's no news. There's no news coming out. They're not going to come out and say we sold more cars. The earnings are done. Everything's done. They've done their shit. Earnings were 2 weeks ago, so this thing's long in the tooth. Like it needs to, like the rest of this market. The market's been going up for 6-7 weeks. I think I said this to you before we came out. I think you got a 2-month squeeze. Takes you to the middle.
Speaking of that, let me just share the SPOO chart on the monthly, since we got a monthly situation.
But a 2-month squeeze takes you to somewhere around mid-August, right? And it's slow.
Yeah,
why wouldn't we continue just to drift up and float up? And
here's the SPOOs. Monthly average there at 43.30. It's so far 1 day in the month pinged right off of that momentum level at 40.94. So yeah, I got no problem seeing this thing again.
And really what you have is you have 3 months that haven't gone anywhere, right? And,
how about it? Giant.
We basically have a quarter where nobody, the open and the close are right around the same number. So they're doing their best to prop this thing up, but they're spending and exuding a lot of energy when you think about energy and momentum just to get it back to where we started 3 months ago. Like it's hard for me to get really, like if you bring up a quarterly, how does that chart look?
Dude, I love it when you say stuff like that. The quarterly, they're trying to reach back to that. Again, 43.30 was the monthly average. 43.17 is the quarterly momentum level.
Listen,
momentum, by the way.
I'm fully convinced.
Rolled over.
I'm fully convinced we're going to at least 3,000 on the SPOO. So if you're not happy about selling at higher prices and positioning yourself for that type of move at 41.30, then you're not looking at things properly in long term, because they would have to get this over 45.50 for this quarterly for me to be bullish again.
Exactly. Well, for me, it's 43.17 recapture. We call that the recapture. I mean, this is one of those things that Endless Capital shared from Macro Alf, worse than 2008. What blows me away in this chart is this is the global credit impulse, weaker than in the global credit impulse, which is the measure of the rate of change of money creation, the non-financial private sector. And Alfie is saying the one we all use. Well, the point being here is it's already below the lows that it made in 2010, which was already a complete washout of the market. And we haven't seen near that kind of price discovery yet. So I don't know, it's for me, and back to the quarterly chart, we haven't even rolled the quarterly chart over yet. Not even rolled it over. 43.17.
No, and that bottom green line there is 30.79. So that lines up with my 3,000. So and we, by the way, we did that when COVID hit. look at that. We, tagged it, went sliced through it like a butter knife when it first hit, and then
right on.
came back. Listen, midterms are coming. COVID, version 17.3 is coming out this fall now because there's midterms. Monkeypox,
I don't know.
sheeppox, blah, 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 pox.
Matt, speaking of midterms, let's do the New York Times Wordle. The way I do it, Trump every time. And look at that. See, right away. All right. So how about we do well, I'm blanking here now. I think it ends in URT is where I'm.
How about burst?
We'll go with burst. Nope.
No help. How about?
All right, listen, I'm going to get back to this, but this is how I do it, Matt. This is how I do it every time. Trump first every time. I'm 96-1 so far doing it.
With the Trump.
Hey, Matt, I brought in the sound of the freight train. And if you haven't watched this little Jordan Peterson podcast with Michael Yan, highly recommended. But man, is it painting a brutal fall coming, like it's on a freight train course to disaster in many facets. Interesting guy, a lot more knowledgeable than you or I, for sure.
Well, and Jordan, what's interesting, not only is Jordan Peterson, I've always felt like he was a pretty good truth teller, but he's pissed now too. You can hear it in his tone. And
you can. And he's really pissed at this.
And I think as more people awaken to these, F's, it's again, you will not be able to walk in the streets. You think Nancy Pelosi's got problems over in Taiwan. She's going to have problems walking around in Mission, the Mission Hill or whatever, Pacific Heights in San Francisco, where, you can openly do crack and molest girls and be just fine.
Well, speaking of Nancy, she's not really going there. I mean, I think there was just a misrepresentation. She didn't say I'm going to Taiwan. She said I'm going to Taiwan, which she does regularly. Amazingly, Matt, do we live in a I don't know, the dystopian world that we live in where they're telegraphing a war?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like COVID. All right, that fizzled out. That didn't work.
Yep. What do you got next? What's next in the playbook? Yep.
The amazing thing about watching the Jordan Peterson thing with Michael Yan was how well he has developed this narrative that, and I'm just going to say this now, it just popped into my head. The Third World War is going to be an Asian war. It's going to be China, Japan, 2.0, 3.0, 9.0, 15.0, how many times they've gone at each other through history. But he really paints a picture that's where the bigger strife is.
Hey, breaking news, the NASDAQ just went red again. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Sometimes we just got to talk about it, and then people realize that, oh shit.
We call that trade lift.
Only 5 names are going up. We gotta sell some more.
Matt, I know you are the don't on astrology, but Jupiter going into retrograde seemed to catch your eye, and it means exaggeration of things. And there's plenty of exaggerated stuff in my life, right?
Well, I mean, how about let's talk a little sports before we hop here, because Soto, right? Everybody is going to bat for this 22-year-old, no pun intended, because he's got a heck of a bat. But I mean, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Yankees, and then some ancillary are all going after this guy, and he's worth $60 million a year at 22. Bob, think about that. 22 years
It's old. An impossibility. It's an impossibility.
But I mean, if the Dodgers if the Dodgers or the Yankees, who are already fully going to the World Series to face each other. Like, Padres need this guy to even have a shot because the Dodgers are so deep. But can you imagine Freeman, Soto, and that lineup? Like the center fielder from Boston, what's his name? I mean, they're just loaded. Justin Thomas, whatever. They're all still there. They're all there. The Dodgers are going to be tough to beat, as will the Yankees in the American League. So, and by the way, 27 days until college football kicks off. So
let's just put that in our feather in a cap. I actually have a cap with a feather, and I was supposed to wear it today, but I got the Manja visor ready to roll. Matt, Shy Girl shares, everyone is trying to put the same 2008 commodity trade on. Short commodities is as if we're in a recession. They are objectively ignoring current fundamentals. The current environment in commodities is not even close to 2008. Matt, both me and you have a hard time when we look at fundamentals, and that's why we shy away from them. I will take her on her word that the fundamentals are different, and that's fine. But the market can stay disconnected from the fundamentals a lot longer than you can stay solvent. Mm-hmm. That is for sure. Let's look at the one thing that we brought up, and that's the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index. And I spent a lot of time on my last years on the floor, Matt, trading the Goldman roll in the hog. The hogs had maybe 2% of the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, and that was giant positioning for the hog market to take on. My point being that no, we're not price wise where we were in 2008, but we're not hell and gone from those prices.
No, and again, I don't know. I don't know, Bob, what makes up this index. You just threw it at me this morning. So but I can tell you just by looking at it at this point, this was all oil, because oil went to 150 here. So we went, from 360 to 900, so almost tripled. And then it collapsed with oil collapsing, and then it rallied again. And this was all grains, because grains went bananas here in the early teens. So that was just grains. Now you have natural gas, grains, oil, etc. Gold, all the metals, no. But let's just say the grains and the energies have been going bananas at the same time, which we didn't have here. So they are completely different. I agree with her. And I still think that with oil off big today, again, I mean, we were at 101, 102 on Friday, and we're all the way down here. We tested 93. We're at these key levels again. I think, and you and I have talked about this previously, in the last week or two, I think they're going to shake everybody out of oil, break this 90 level, take it down to 80, maybe 70. And gosh, I will load the boat at that level, because this stuff is not stopping. And just because the Ukraine war, which we've spoken on that issue, it's over. It's by all intent and purpose, it is over. There will be some agreement, and basically that, Eastern Ukraine's going back to Russia and the Western's going to go to Poland. And then there'll be this little Ukraine center where the guys who stole all that money, I guess, have laundered it all out, and then they'll just be right. And now everything's moved to Kosovo. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I cannot even take these narratives right now. And the UN just is pushing so hard for a war, a UN war, so they can bring in some new world leader. And again, this is all going to fail, because everybody can see this shit as clear as day now. It's like,
amazing. It's as amazing as well as they thought they were with the narrative and the messaging. It is Brett. The one thing you can bastardize or tell me that social media has ruined the world, and I will agree with you. But the irony of it is that it's also allowed for actual real truths to be spread. Now you can tell me they're lies, but they sure aren't turning out to be that way, as all the lies that we're told about the efficacy of the vaccine seem to be, Man, let me share one other nuance here. We love nuance here, time frame nuance. And I just want to point to you the count. All right. And now this is a quarterly count. Again, this is the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index. And I want to show you this run up from 2002 to the high in 2008 in the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index. And spending time in and around that up momentum level was somewhere around here in October of 2003. So then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 quarters above that.
And we were printing money then, obviously the end of 08 and 9 with TARP and all that, that went on, right? So that happened we kind of did it the reverse. Because of COVID, we printed all that money, but we haven't had a sell-off yet in the market. This is the difference, right? This is the difference. Like the end of that rush was because 06, 7, 8, 9 was like, harsh. It was a big down move in the overall equity markets. We're only off, highs barely now. We're not, we didn't go half off or anything. And again, the SPOOs are, 4,200, they got up to 46. So half off would be 2,300. You got to remember that we were more than half off. We went from 1,500 down to 666 in the NASDAQ back then. So, and this is way worse just because, in my opinion, the amount of money, and the Fed has painted it. I mean, we've talked about this. There's no way they can get out of this alive. So without literally trying to create a whole new system. And I guess, maybe they're going to try to break it. I don't know. Maybe that's what they try to do. I don't think people are going to put up with it. I just read something today that Japan said no to this whole, what is this? What are the CB, whatever, basically your ESG, and Japan's like, no, we don't want any of that, so and more people are.
Well, my point here on this quarterly chart is we are 6 quarters in on this above up momentum on this quarterly Goldman Sachs commodity index. The last time it ran 18 quarters. So again, maybe Shy Girl is completely accurate here that the fundamentals are nowhere near where they were there. And that if we run 18 quarters, we're talking some real inflation pain still coming down the pike. Matt, I just wanted to point that out.
Well, and you know what, Bob, I'm gonna, if you would stop sharing, I'm gonna,
yeah. No, you can just kick me off anytime you want, please.
No, I know, but this I think is to this point, right? These are the little headlines that we're just starting to see, and this just came out on Daily Mail. I can't even afford groceries. Half of the U.S. food banks report growing numbers of households needing handouts. Biden's plan to end hunger by 2030 comes unstuck as prices of eggs, butter, and other basics soar, right? I went to the grocery store again yesterday after we played tennis, picked up just a few things. I got some, chicken breast. I got some turkey. I'm just telling you the meats that I got, but I didn't get a lot. I really didn't. I didn't buy any seafood. And at the end of the day, I spent $100 and, it's just for me. I don't have 4 kids living with me anymore.
7 items, $100.
I mean, literally. And that was at, the bargain outlet Winco. It's not at Safeway. It's not at,
Dude, great. I'm a big fan of Winco.
But I think this is the thing that again, we can, again, when they're starting to get hungry in the streets and this money that, and then Biden's claiming everybody got $8,000. This guy's lost his mind. I mean, he's clearly lost his mind, and who knows? I mean, but it's insane. It's literally insane right now.
All right, Matt, we started with milk. Let's end with milk. We wanted to bring in one stock, ConAgra, about the middle of the road of the top 10 dairy producers in the country. CAG is the ticker. Matt, take us away on ConAgra. Looks pretty stable. A stable play to park.
Yeah, again,
it almost looks like a place to park your money.
Yeah, and it probably, $17 billion market cap, pays 4% dividend, just shy of 4%, and it's right in balance. So to your point, it's like when it dips down, buy it. When it goes up, sell it. It's kind of like owning DuPont. It looks like it trades like DuPont. I mean, you're looking at multiple years. COVID lows back here. Let's see I bet you the COVID low, actually it might have been a COVID high. I don't know. I don't remember looking at this. Well, I'm just saying, maybe.
No, I agree. That's why we do this exercise.
But no, it was down here too. So it was down here at $23. I don't know. Yeah, it's totally in balance. At least it pays you a dividend to hold it. Yeah. Again, big farming right there, right? Big farming. Big farming, not big pharma, big farming. All right, Matt, lastly, but not leastly, my pitch. Hold on a second. Let me get back here because
not only is college football starting, Matt, but it is going to be Bears. Bears. My weekly pitch, I'm betting the over, which is 6.5 games for the Chicago Bears, and that is coaching. Matt, I think you would agree with me that the talent stratification is fairly level in the NFL, barring a few positions, right? And those positions are giant. For me, though, it's the defensive head coach, the defensive-minded head coach that we have now in place, number one. And number two, the quarterback coach that they brought in from Green Bay, who did great things over the past 6 years or so. He was there with a one Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he can be the difference for Justin Fields. Defense and disciplined quarterback play, I think, are the two biggest things in any NFL's franchise's chance.
I have one question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Name the last Ohio State quarterback that has taken anybody to the Super Bowl.
Matt, there always has to be one.
I'm just asking you. Name the last one.
The last great.
Name one Ohio State quarterback that has taken a team to the Super Bowl.
I don't think there is, Matt, if you're asking the question.
I don't.
Justin Fields to be the first.
I'm just saying.
With coaching. Matt, that's what I'm just talking coaching. Coaching.
Hey, I want to talk something back in the markets here that has nothing to do with Justin Fields. And
Bears, that's all I got to say.
That is the bonds. And by the way, again, here's where Shy Girl's right. Why are the bonds going lower or higher, which means interest rates are diving as inflation is transition? Because inflation is transitionary and 2/4 of GDP aren't a recession now. Is that why?
That is why. That's the new definition.
So that's why the bonds are going higher. I got it. Okay. But here's what's happened in the last, 6 weeks. The 6-week rally, 131 to 145. Do you know how big that move is? It's big.
Please.
And it's based, and Bob, and here's what I'm going to do for you here. I'm going to say the last high that we had in the bonds, 160, down to the most recent low, 131. Guess where we are? Halfway. And then I don't see us getting over 149 as your outlier.
And that is the 618.
Yeah, and we're right at the 50% right now, right there. So bonds away. And if you don't think they need to keep raising rates, and they've already said, another 2.5, they should already be at 8% for a 30-year mortgage, but they're at 6. That being said, you still have an upside down treasury market, right?
Yes.
You have the 2 years leading the way. They're at 2.9 and the 10 years at 2.6. And they've both been coming down, but that hasn't flipped. So that's not normal. Where the 2
years.
Last
but not least here, we wanted to talk with Pelosi going to Taiwan, the US dollar, Taiwan dollar, USD, TWD. Again, these FX markets are giant, thick, tradable for sure. And Taiwan has had its sovereign currency now the price discovery goes back a long time. The CCP can say whatever they want, but this tells a different story than the CCP narrative, for sure.
Yeah, and again, this is pretty bullish. It's been selling off probably with Nancy tying one on, but I don't know. If it gets back down to 260 or so, maybe buy the dip there from 350 to 260 again. Oh, this is
yields. Hold on. Yeah. Slow down. I knew. I'm like, that's not the chart.
Yeah, but I would buy those. Interest rates here soon too. I think they're going to go higher. So sell your bonds. But on the U.S.
So this is dollar rallying against the Taiwan dollar with this news. That's a flight away from, oh my God, they're actually serious about shooting her down. But the dollar has been strong against this for quite some time here.
The entire 2022 for sure. So the entire 2022. And again, gold has had a huge, again, with interest rates going lower, why is gold going up? This is where you have to like separate yourself.
Dude, we
from,
talked about that. Trading correlations is never more dangerous when the world is upside down in the summertime.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people on the Hamptons that are just not involved. So, you know, it's summertime afternoon in a commodity market on the floor was the time where shit happened that made absolutely no sense.
Right.
But that's what happens.
That
Matt, you were going to bring up gold, or did you? All of a sudden, he's down. He's trading, folks. In the middle of the show again.
Well, you know,
several times now I've had to warn him.
I've been sitting here short from, you know, the AM opening hour drive, and that's worked out well now. So, you know, that's all you got to do is be patient. And you know, the Nasdaq's down almost 250 points from that 13.1s that it reached to. It's red. The Russell is just starting to roll over here also as we speak. And yeah, I could bring up gold if you want to take a look at it. I think gold ultimately is going to roll over. Again, this is not your mother's commodity bear time, I don't think, but I think gold has to go lower if you buy into the fact that the dollar we still think is going to go much higher. Now you haven't right now, if you haven't gotten on to the dollar, I think now is a great time to buy the dollar. But let me
forget about gold. Bring in the DXY. Bring in the dollar.
Hold on, just let me bring up the gold here, because this is the 144 chart. We came back right to the trend line, right?
And the point of control.
And this is where we broke down from before. Okay, this is a good area. Again, I think you can sell, and you might have to sell at 100 high. So if you're not willing to, you know, I'm not saying it can't go to 1860, or you better be able to re-enter stop if that 100 points is too wide for you. But you might have to sell up to 1850, 1860 on gold. But right now you're right at the trend line. So you can make it, you know, give yourself a $10 risk here and play ball if you're really tight, right? And then the dollar is down in the 105s today. And I keep suggesting 105 is kind of like that line in the sand, and we're at 105 and a quarter right now. We dipped down to 105.10. And again, looking at these, you know, middle term charts here, this is you know, going the wrong, you know, it's going the wrong way right now for the bulls. But we hit that 109 level and are coming back. Why wouldn't we test this breakout area again here? 104, 104.
Yeah, I got 104.63. I'm looking at the 3-day. That's the upward sloping lower momentum level. One of my favorite trades. 104.63.
And really, even down here to the high 103s is still bullish. So
I agree. 100%.
You know, and if you've been long since we've been telling you since 88, 89s, I mean, this is easy to buy more every time it pulls back, buy some more, because you're just pyramiding your long position higher, and it should treat you well unless that 103 level goes. You know, it just looks good. Why don't you bring up what you were talking about there?
Right on. Let me show you the 3-day and let's fractal in and out from it a little bit. Again, this is one of my favorite trades here. If you can get in this 3-day, started today, so the first, the second, the third, 104.68 we'll call it. Upward sloping momentum from the opposite direction. So we've been rallying, so the lower momentum level with a positive slope to it is one of my favorite trades. And then, you know, you're wrong if it closes below there. Then you really got to start being careful of maintaining that position. So right. And then when we fractal out, there is a bit more. Let's just go to the monthly. 103.35 is the monthly momentum level. And if we come back into the weekly, play a little jigsaw here. It is rounding some here. That's a 103.03 is that low momentum level. There's no reason, again, Matt, in the summertime, and we are peak, should be on Martha's Vineyard had I made better investing decisions when I was young. The summertime is no time to be marrying losing positions. Let's just make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, well,
like being a Bears fan. But We
Well,
are undefeated.
and also don't be too thinking you're too smart just because something's going your way and continues to go that way, because there's really not a lot of participation right now, unless there is some event or news. But right now it's getting quiet, and it's going to get quieter. And we do have the jobs this Friday. And the interim numbers over the last 3 weeks have not been good. They've been creeping higher, jobless. I saw some information on housing, big pullbacks there, price reductions everywhere we're seeing nationally. Nothing big though, but the defaults are like at 25-30 year lows. So nobody's got any issues right now with their housing mortgage payments, because jobs are plentiful. And according to Biden too, everything's good. We're cooking.
All right, that's what we got. What else? Anything, Lee, anything. Lee is going to be vegan if, let me ask you a question, Lee. Is eating bug milk, is insects considered omnivorish? It's not vegan. Roach milk, cockroach milk. Or was it Bill Gates milk that really turned you off?
Well, I mean, are we going to have cockvid coming next? Since we have monkeypox and sheeppox, are we going to get cockvid next?
From cockroach milk? Tainted?
Yes.
My question to you is, how many cockroaches does it take to get a gallon of milk?
The good news about cockroach milk is when the Chinese lob a nuke, cockroaches still live.
Oh yeah, like Cher. Like
Yeah.
The only two things that can survive nuclear war is Cher and cockroaches.
What about Cher's package when she's dancing with Sonny?
That too. you in the dark web, the dark web of influence. All right, Matt, that's what we got. Please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please be a Bear fan until they win 7 games.
Until you got no chance. The Lions are going to sweep them this year. The Pack's going to sweep them, and the Vikings are going to sweep them. There's 6 losses right there.
Man, that is too difficult to contemplate. Too difficult to contemplate. All right, I'm going to noodle on the guitar.
All right.
And then where can I see you gig from? Lee, you better be here before August 12th, because I'm hitting the road August 12th. If you are here before then, I will for sure go play an open mic and entertain the world. Yeah. What is, hold on a second, 8/8, is that a Wednesday?
Yeah, it's a week. No, it's a week from today is the 8/8.
Monday, Wednesday at the what pub, Matt? What do we call it?
M&J's.
M&J's, 75 years, great tequila bar in Bend, Oregon, the M&J. All right, Lee, I can't wait to meet you. Then see that it's a small world, working out.
But not MEAT, yeah, because he's a vegan.
Hey, I usually go play around 7:38 at the M&J.
Yeah.
And what else was I going to say? I got brain cramps.
I think you should, I think when you, the next time you play, you got to work on Wildfire, because we're in that time of year and they've started, and I need to hear that song. She ran
Which
Calling.
Wildfire, like
She ran Calling, Wildfire.
Yeah. Who wrote that?
I'll come up and do the harmonies for you.
Right on. Lee, make sure you bring your recording equipment. Nobody has recorded more shows than Lee. Nobody. RCA Records hasn't recorded more than Lee. That's for sure. Anyhow, that's what we got. Please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please share, retweet, and plagiarize the broadcast. And please share your trade lift ideas, as we will dissect them. And that's all I got. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee.
Happy August. Happy Monday. Enjoy yourself.
Right on.